Hey guys, and welcome to the Pretty Healthy Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brandi Moore, and today I have a very special guest, Kimberly Fox, here to talk about all things skin and skincare and holistic skincare. And she's got some great things to say. I'm really excited. So welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. We work a little bit together, and it's been a while. I mean, with COVID, I haven't seen you. We haven't hung out in a while, so it's good we can do this through Zoom.
Yeah, we met. Well, we were supposed to meet through a networking group called AZ Brunch Babes, which I don't think is even a thing anymore with COVID. And
yeah, it kind of died off, didn't it?
Yeah, and then we wound up touching base, even though you weren't even able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I feel like we've been in talks every few months.
Yep. I feel like the only person I really wanted to talk to at that brunch was you. And then I wasn't because work-life balance. Didn't get to go, but we still connected. So it all worked out.
Yeah, it really did. Okay. So you have been in the skincare industry and esthetician for how long?
Oh man, I would say like 4 years, transferring from LFT to licensed esthetician. So
yeah, which is awesome. And your office is located in Old Town Scottsdale.
Yep.
Best in the Valley 2020,
mm-hmm.
which is awesome. For you guys who don't follow Kimberly, we'll get into some of the contact details at the end, but really should follow her on social media. And she also gives amazing facials.
Yeah. I feel like my social media presence is very small. I don't do a lot of online stuff anymore. Like I don't market as much as I used to. The good news is I don't really have to.
Yeah.
I have a lot of reoccurring clients.
Which is honestly where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're thinking like the ideal place where you're on social media because you enjoy it, but not necessarily because you have to hustle that way.
Exactly. And I feel like with my specialty, it's not really like a foo-foo massage kind of salon and spa. It's really customizable and for people with compromised skin. So I don't like putting them on blast. It is a place of healing. So I like to, not film everything because it can be very emotional for the client. And the last thing I want them thinking is that something wrong with them,
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's get into, I guess, a little bit about how you practice and how you got here, because you do take such a holistic approach to skincare. I feel like most estheticians are like, let's extract some pimples, let's do a hydrofacial here or there, but not a lot of the health and wellness side is addressed.
Yep. I think it's such an interesting era that we live in because I feel like everyone's jumping into the holistic approach. But I feel, and you probably feel this way too, a lot of people want to be holistic, but then they're still doing so many things that are counterintuitive. So it's like, why eat McDonald's, but then you're buying, $50 house cleaning supplies because you want to be holistic. So
yeah. It's hard though, because I feel like it sounds great. Like, oh, I want to live a clean life. I want to eat whatever where you're kind of like staking your claim, or that be like, I only eat organic stuff most of the time. But then again, you're like pounding cheeseburgers or drinking a ton of alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
But people are trying to do their best that they can. They don't realize that they're kind of taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yep. Or it's just a clean slate wash. Like you're doing so much good and you're paying a lot of money usually to get these sustainable organic products, but then you're drinking rocket fuel and you're, using recreational drugs, or you're taking prescription medication that is just like, you might as well just go all the way toxic and not try to. It's better than nothing, but it's still a lot of my clients, they don't necessarily know what holistic means, but they like the idea of being clean. So
Yeah.
every time someone comes in, they always say, you're like a little encyclopedia of just all this knowledge and all these tips and tricks from, I don't know, just things that I use at home, like humidifiers, shower filters, things that they don't necessarily think of, but it is holistic.
Yeah.
And you are the number one person I send everybody to. I'm like, okay, I see a food allergy. I know exactly what it looks like, or if it's, hormone imbalance. And I kind of actually wanted to ask you, what do you see the most right now? What type of clientele?
Yeah. A lot of skin.
Yep.
Partially. So it's kind of a combination. In private practice, I'm like skin, hormones, digestive health, because they're so intertwined, as you've probably seen, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, I have acne. And they're like, I've tried Accutane, I've tried all of like the conventional, the antibiotics, the birth control, but nothing is really seeming to help, or it only helps for a short amount of time. So what do you think? And 9 times out of 10, there's either your digestive health is garbage.
Yeah. And a lot of people, don't you think a lot of people like join in like these juice cleanses and things like that, but they don't know that you actually you're cleansing, but you're not restoring the gut health. And I think that's like the most common I see is gut health.
So even with the Everlywell test, which a lot of people will do on their own, I try to always say that when it comes to food sensitivities, it's so much more than just remove the food.
Yep.
You have to heal the gut lining. Even when they see other practitioners, they're like, oh, they just told me remove it for 4 weeks, but there was no focus on decreasing the inflammation, restoring the tight junctions. Right. And so what happens is you just become reactive to more foods, right? You stop
everything.
You stop eating list A, you get retested, and then list B shows up. And people are like, well, I stopped. Why is this on here now? And it's because the root cause is the damage to the intestinal lining, especially when you get someone who's seen dermatologist after dermatologist.
And Accutane. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Accutane, chronic antibiotics, birth control, all 3 of those will wreak havoc on the microbiome.
I have a lot of clients right now. And since we're kind of touching base on this, and I send some of these clients to you, what do you feel about antivirals versus antibiotics? Do you feel like those are just as bad on the liver and the microbiome? And
I'm honestly, the root cause typically is not a virus.
Okay.
That's my issue. Like, my perspective when treating is always the root cause. So I've referred clients to you, whether or not they've followed up, but usually it's because it's that combined holistic approach. So when it comes to antivirals, yes, they can be really hard on the liver. And obviously the liver being the main detox organ, we need it to be working appropriately so that we can get rid of excess hormones and toxins that cause the acne. Okay. So I wouldn't do the antiviral. I might do natural antivirals, like berberines, something like that, over just like an RX antiviral, unless it's caused by a virus. Right? And oftentimes it's even just the whole conversation about bacteria is kind of a guess, because very rarely do I find someone is on antibiotics and their skin clears up that much.
It always is like reversed.
Yeah.
So I usually I don't give them legal advice. I tell them to go and see you. I tell them, just normal things, like as a friend, like you should be taking a probiotic every day to help make this go away, but contact your doctor first.
Yeah. You should be drinking water.
Very simple suggestions. I can look at someone's skin and I know if they have like a very acidic diet, you know what I mean? Like that's how great I'm becoming in the skin industry. And so, having them like add trace minerals and their reverse osmosis or something like that to kind of bring it more alkaline or just.
With you being an esthetician for the last 4 years, why/how did you kind of steer more the holistic route versus, because I feel like conventionally, again, it's like Dr. Pimple Popper,
Yep. I can't even watch that, honestly. Every person, every child, everyone, they're like, you must love Dr. Pimple Popper. And I'm like, you know what? I can't watch it. It's like too much. These are like abscess, like bacterial, like
Yeah.
infection
And it's
cyst.
zoomed in so you can like
Yeah,
really
it's like in the back when she goes forever and she's pulling. I can't watch it. But that's not what I do. I have a lot of pimples. Sometimes, depending, and this is just kind of like more of a gift that I have, is I can kind of sense people's energy and lifestyle, just kind of when I meet them. And that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
But if it's someone I know doesn't have the, I don't want to say like money, but if they don't have a lot of like disposable income, and I know they're not going to be coming back and they're not going to be consistent, and I know that they're not living a very healthy home life, like I feel like it's a little toxic.
Yeah.
I actually go popping in the skin, because the last thing I want to do is open it up and then, them go home and sleep on dirty pillowcase or sleep on their friend's couch and put makeup on with a dirty makeup brush. And, so I don't always pop. Sometimes it's better just to leave it alone and put them on like a little topical solution. I love benzoyl peroxide for those clients, even though that's not really like the holistic would be salicylics, but
Yeah.
in the summer they can slough down,
Okay.
and then can get stuck, versus like a BPO actually breaks up the bacteria.
Mhm.
Glycolic is my favorite acid. It's a small molecule. It has the ability to deep into the dermal layers and break that bacteria up. So there's always people I don't necessarily go to town on extractions.
Yeah. So how did you become more holistic as opposed to?
That's a really good question. And I get asked that a lot. So, gosh, this is so sad. I'm going to cry.
Oh no.
Years ago, when I was 26, I had these really bad hives everywhere on my body. This is when I first started my career as an LFT, and I was under a lot of stress. And so at first, my doctor thought, it was like all these adrenal fatigue issues, or my body is just, my nervous system's attacking itself. They checked me for Hashimoto's, like things, just thinking it was nervous system, thyroid type of stuff. Come to find out, I was allergic to tree nuts and a lot of seeds.
Oh no.
I went from eating late night Taco Bell and cleaning my laundry with Downy to having to read everything I was putting, not just in my digestive system, but on my skin, on what I was cleaning my house with, what my animals were being cleaned with, just everything. I had to read all the ingredients, and come to find out everything I was doing turns you into a monster and causes cancer, or does all these horrible things. A lot of endocrine disruptors, which is very interesting. I had 2 ectopic pregnancies, and I'm not surprised that that had happened due to some of these things that I was doing.
Mhm.
Didn't know better.
Yeah.
So after changing my whole life, eliminating the seeds and nuts, working with people to add some back into my diet, I just stayed holistic because I felt better. Like I literally felt terminally ill at 26 when everything happened to me at once. And I never felt better. I started doing like yearly cleanses for my gut. I'm sure standard process is a good
Mhm.
one. The 21-day purification, and not only like cleans you out, but it also restores. So I just really started going that direction, and then learning to cook. I love cooking. I'm sure you see it all the time. I try to stick away from processed foods. I try to eat as raw as I can. I see the benefits in the skin, in the brain fog.
Yep.
My adrenals are a little bit better, but that's the work-life balance that we both struggle with.
Yep.
I just loved everything holistic, and it is hard to treat skin holistically. Like you were saying, doctors normally just want to put you on Accutane. And I think a lot of people don't understand that this is a toxic overload.
Yep.
Vitamin A. And so you're literally stripping all of your, your gallbladder, your kidneys, your liver, like all your filters. And you're not giving anything back to it. So I think holistically treating it, you're amazing at doing, putting them on supplements or things that are more in the naturopathic way. And I feel like being holistic, it's very hard to find things that are non-comedogenic, especially when it comes to moisturizing the skin. I feel like most creams that are holistic have, coconut oil, shea butter, jojoba, things that can clog the skin. So when it comes to acne and holistic, it's like not a lot of people can do that successfully, except for you and me. No.
Right? Come see us.
Come see us. We're the only ones in the world. No. But it is really hard. And a lot of people just don't get it. It's either you don't get it or you are like super into it. I feel like you're obsessed as much as I'm obsessed. And that's why I love sending people to you.
Yeah. Well, you and I see the benefit ourselves, but also in clients and patients every day.
Mm-hmm.
So making those small changes, which is what I would suggest if someone listening to this is like, oh, she's saying, she redid her diet and her lifestyle in her home. It can be really overwhelming to think that you have to throw away and overhaul everything.
Yeah.
So usually I just recommend that people start where they can. So looking at the ingredients in your skincare and then eliminating as you go, right? When I was in naturopathic school, when we first had environmental medicine, it was like, what? It's the air you breathe is toxic. The food you eat is toxic. The products you put on your skin, toxic.
My clients think I'm like saying no all day long to them. But, it's like I said, the small little tips that you just learn every time you come in. It's probably almost annoying to some people because it is really like their self-time and they like will enjoy silence and massaging, but I don't do that. I'm more of the time I'm inflicting pain and I'm talking the entire time.
You are an educator. That is,
I'm like nailing it in there. But it's, candles, for instance, like soy, cotton wick.
Yeah.
You have to
There's a lot.
So mindful. No Febreze. Don't,
So the fragrance thing is something that I feel when I was in high school and college, obviously Bath and Body Works are like the Victoria's Secret grapefruit scent we're in. And so you would like douse and you're just like, now I think of it and I'm like, wow, my young teenage brain was just inhaling all of
Right. You're like, hi, infertility. Let's just like,
take a big whiff. Now, I feel like it also becomes hard, even in the conventional realm, because they see things as like, this works on the masses. Like one thing should help 95% of the population or it doesn't work.
Horrible idea. There's people who can, excuse my language. There's people who can like put baby shit on their face and they can have perfect skin.
So true.
That's not everyone. So the TikTok, I know we want to talk about it. I'm so sick of this like skin trend, ordinary, crappy.
Okay. So thoughts on the ordinary.
Okay. I am not a fan. I would say if I had to pick one product that would be okay, it would be their LHA, BHA, little enzyme peel you do once a week. And it's like that blood color. I went over the ingredients. I mean, it's not all clean, but it's good. I love like a good lactic acid. I feel like it brings more moisture to the skin and it's not going to like do too much damage. You're not giving yourself a chemical peel at home.
Yeah.
Everything other than that, like their vitamin C. And this is like, I want every listener right now to hear me when I say this. When it comes to vitamin C, you are going to spend a lot of money. And here is why. It has to be bioengineered. attached to a carbohydrate. If it's not, it's active as soon as it hits your skin and actually burns through your acid mantle because it's so active, and it's not working all day. When it's attached to the carb, it gets deeper into those epidermal layers and it's time released. So you're protecting your skin from pathogens throughout the day versus ordinary vitamin C goes on, burns the skin first layer because it's pure form L-ascorbic acid, which is cheaper to get. That's why the ordinary is $14.99 versus, $120, $100 vitamin C.
Well, and with a lot of skincare, and I'm sure you see this, you get what you pay for. It's kind of like if you buy that $5 bag at Forever 21, don't expect that it's going to last 20 years and then have good resale, because you're buying kind of that cheap, quick fashion product. And I feel like with skincare, it gets lost in translation, where it's like, oh, but it's so cheap. And you're like, exactly.
And we're women, we are drawn to marketing. We're constantly changing. And that's another thing. I feel like we're all born with the ability for our skin to think and heal on its own. It's us women that go in, we start putting on makeup to be prettier. And then what do you have to do? You have to overstrip your skin to get it off. And then that's why you see more skin issues, especially when it comes to like hyperpigmentation and things with females, because we're constantly burning through that acid mantle instead of repairing. And packaging is so pretty. Like, I want it all.
True. They get you. You're right. It's the marketing of certain things, and some companies do really, really well. So if you were going to recommend a couple over-the-counter options, like brand options, do you have brands that you like?
I do. If you're non-holistic, I like La Roche-Posay.
I've heard great things about them. They're pricey, but I've heard amazing things.
They're a little bit pricey, and that's where I'm like, you might as well just be buying from me and get like same price, if not cheaper, for some of my products. So like Ron Ellison is like, I think $32 for a large moisturizer that'll last you 2.5-3 months. And hers is $45. So but if someone's in a pinch, they're on vacation, or it's like somebody overseas that somehow finds me some way and I'm like bored on a Friday night going through my I'll tell them, it's not a bad brand, and whatever's going on with their skin, I'll recommend a few things like the drugstore.
Okay.
I like them. There is a pumpkin peel by Peter Thomas Roth I used to be obsessed with. I still am using pumpkin for myself, but it's Rhonda Allison. Very similar, but Peter Thomas Roth is a little more fillers and dimethicones and and stuff. I love Drunk Elephant if you want to go the holistic approach. I hate Kiehl's. When I think of Kiehl's and Bare Minerals, I just think like very thick ceramide going to break you out creams. And Bare Minerals is mineral powders that are going to implement into your hair shaft, and they're not going to be able to shake and come out and cause breakouts too. So don't always think holistic is better for you, because sometimes it's actually the complete opposite when it comes to acne.
I love that you said that, because we often think natural, holistic, better, pure, but sometimes, and when we get to the game, we'll hit on one of them, but we tend to think just because it's natural, it's not harmful.
Right.
And that's not true.
That's what I see a lot, especially with the TikTok trends. It's like, oh, this argan oil, it's just for my skin and my hair. I'm like, this is why you literally are like having cystic breakouts.
Yeah.
Just, you don't know till you know. And that's what we're here for. We're healers. So educate. I know you're pretty good at educating my clients. They always tell me.
We have a lot of conversation. I'm also just love to talk.
Yeah. So this is our therapy. We need them as much as they need us.
Yeah, it works out really nice. Okay. You mentioned coming to see you and then say laying on a dirty pillowcase. So I have recommendations that I make to patients about skin hygiene, because a lot of things boil down to like what you put in your mouth, treatments that you get done, but also what are you doing on a consistent basis for hygiene? So what would you say are your top skin hygiene tips?
Tips. Okay. So one of them is shower head filter. Every client I think should have one. They just upped the fluorine levels in
Mhm.
Arizona. So if you are a science geek like me and Dr. Brandi, when you look at the periodic table, when you look all the way to the right, you see all these hardening agents. Fluoride is in one of the classifications of that. It's a hardening agent with fluoride, calcium, and all these other things. Chlorine, we're putting that in our water that we're showering with, and it's hardening the skin. I see a ton of KP.
Mhm.
More like past the age of 30, which normally it would cure on its own by the time you're 30. But I see a lot of it, even in like 40-year-olds, it's still sitting there. So it just builds up over time. It can become very toxic internally, thyroid, pineal gland issues. So that's my first suggestion. I love when clients come to me from out of state because they we live in a transplant city. So
Mhm.
like Florida or Chicago or LA, they're used to that moisture being in the air. So I love humidifiers, but you have to clean it. And
Yep.
when
How often do you recommend cleaning it?
I recommend descaling it with an espresso descaler. I know that's kind of interesting and you probably haven't heard that before. And then you run it a couple times outside and then you bring it back in the house and put, a good reverse osmosis or whatever filtered water you have and put it bedside or in the bedroom. When you sleep, it's the time your skin is taking to heal and replenish itself. So
So would you do that once a week then?
I would do it. I mean, if you're moving from Florida or something and your skin's just like really dry, I have them do it just consistent and
Okay.
it's yeast buildup, but then it's like, don't use it at all.
Yeah.
More of the time they're just dry. So
Okay.
have them put on like a low setting. I even have clients like, if you can't afford it, buy a diffuser,
Yeah.
put something in the air to get the skin like glowy and dewy and back to its happy self. Those are like my two favorite hidden tips. Shampooing and conditioners and hair masks and hair oils and creams and things like that. I tell my clients to wash their face, then wash their hair. And when they rinse
Mhm.
to the side and down. I see
Yeah.
a lot of here, and it's these new hair technologies that are coming out. They have lots of yeast and like it's shea butter.
Yeah.
So if you break out, wash your hair to the side, slip pillowcases. If you can't afford, $100 million pillowcase, get a silk one or,
Yeah.
an Amazon skin pillow. Just search from there and you can find something a little bit better. Yeah, those are like my favorite tips that I think everyone
Yeah.
or at least.
I agree. I usually add to wash your sheets and pillowcases at least twice a week.
Oh, for sure.
Wash your makeup brushes once a week. Don't go get a facial and then like use
Yep.
some dirty brush. Like, why?
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
You're just reintroducing that same bacteria, just like, oh, I just got it cleaned right back. Or exfoliating and then using dirty products or not washing your sheets and your
Yep.
pillowcases.
You're allowing crap to get in the skin. It's
Yeah.
not good. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
People think that that's a lot. And so for me, I'm like, okay, wash your pillowcases every 4 days, 2 times on one side, 2 times on the other side. And some of my clients are like, that's way too much washing. I'm like,
Well, then just buy multiple pillowcases.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the same amount of washing, you just know you would need at least 2 to 3 pillowcases
Per pillow.
and make sure you change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense to me.
I know. It's worth like the 10 to $20 for a pillowcase.
Okay, so we've talked about some over the care skincare, some skin hygiene stuff that you can do. You briefly touched on diet, but I want to see in the last year, obviously, the population as a whole, right? Some might call it the collective, has been very, very, very stressed
Yes.
and out of control. And most of us love control. So, how have you seen people's skin react to the stress that we've been under for the last year?
Oh, man. Well, I think everyone turned into like a borderline alcoholic.
So true.
I have seen my clients, some of them have aged so much in the last year. And I am pretty sure it's from stress. And then their adrenals just producing cortisol is like on the rise, oily, broken out, acne. It's, 2020 was like a skin ruiner. I'd say everyone on TikTok, everyone's bored out of their mind. They're like, oh, this all-in-one miracle cream and I'm going to try it. And now I burned a hole in my face and have to go see Kimber to fix it.
Yeah. From just a medical perspective. So if anyone doesn't know what the adrenals are, they're two glands that sit on top of the kidneys and they're responsible for a lot of things. But one of the things is responding to stress, releasing cortisol in response to stress. The way we're meant to do that we're made to do that is to be running from a bear, right? So you see that bear, you kick in that flight or flight, you run, then you're done with the bear. And then once you're done with the bear, you kind of go back to normal.
Right.
What's tending to happen is we're constantly running from that bear, which leads us to like this chronic stress, because the stressor isn't the acute bear. It's our family life, our job, emotional stresses, things like that. And so you tend to deplete, right? The adrenals will compensate. Your body will compensate really anything. Bad behavior. You mentioned earlier, eating a poor diet or like wiping baby poo on the face and then like still having great skin. It will cope until it can't. Right. So when it can't, it starts to strip or deplete your progesterone. So then it starts to affect your hormone balance, which is going to make your skin way worse.
Way worse. Now that we're kind of talking about it, I think a lot of the stress from 2020, it wasn't just people getting laid off. I think a lot of it was everybody needs a purpose in life. And if you're running a routine and you get out of that routine, your body is so used to working that way. It's almost like every day we wake up and go to work, we have that distraction. I know like a lot of us couldn't make it to the gym, but I think mentally, we're so used to having that purpose and that drive and that routine. And when we got shifted off of that, we didn't have like our everyday distraction. So we were distracting ourselves with alcohol, which was like 90% of my clients or something.
Everyone.
I think everyone was an alcoholic. And we've just learned to end that and 2020. But I think the mental aspect of just trying to find a distraction and running through these social media trends and looking at perfection and what is perfection. And we became very insecure and we're picking ourselves apart. We're following celebrity skincare because, Kylie Jenner has her skin line and then great for her. Like that's amazing. But I just feel like people picked themselves apart because they didn't have the everyday distraction.
Yeah, I agree.
Huge mental role on my clients with their hormones because of that, like insecure, that shift, that fight or flight. Like,
well, we were victims to things you couldn't see. So there's like a lot of these rules that we have now that I'm just like, they really don't make sense in the long run. However, at the time, no one wants to feel like a victim. So you want to do something because I'm being proactive. But there was a lot of stress. I've had so many stress conversations with patients. And it's one of those like, oh, yeah. I'm not stressed. And I'm like, we just went through a global pandemic. You still have to wear a mask everywhere.
Like if you're not stressed, then you are psychotic and you still need help.
You're able to see your friends and family really for 6 months or so. And right. So like, there's a lot, especially if you had family somewhere else. Like I have family in Canada, like my in-laws have family in Canada.
Yeah, you couldn't even travel.
No. So like there's no way you left 2020 unscathed. Now you might be ignoring it, which is a whole other issue, but
I like to call it it's a polyretrospection. So just like when we break our arm, our body heals and repairs itself. So our brain, when it's broken, over time we heal it and then we only remember the good. like so important for people to write and journal so you can go back in these moments and be like, okay, own the stress, but don't play victim long enough that you're carrying it with you.
Well, also journaling allows you to express how you feel in the moment and process those feelings versus kind of like feeling the feelings, not knowing what to do. And then your body's kind of like, I'm just going to store this over here until I have time to deal with it. And the thing is, sometimes that time never comes. Or it comes years later after your health is starting to decline, your skin is starting to decline, your life is declining because you can't cope anymore when it's like, oh yeah, this is because when you were 12, you had that issue and then you just didn't process it.
You never owned it. You never like healed. You just carried on.
Exactly.
Have you seen Emissions yet?
No.
Oh my gosh. You'll have to see it. It kind of goes into that and you'll love it. It's about emotional baggage and it sends these frequencies to certain places in your body from like your brain.
Oh, cool.
Emotional trauma in different places may like put these frequencies to your heart. And then you see heart issues or liver issues. And then this guy has learned to track it. And so he'll ask like, these questions and he'll know how to help them heal. So this like IBS or whatever it is goes away versus like putting them on a thyroid medication or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. I'll have to, that's on Netflix or Hulu?
It's on Prime.
Okay. I have Prime, so that works.
We all have the things now after 2020.
Well, because you couldn't just be on one because obviously production for TV shows was slowed down.
So we needed Apple, Hulu, Prime.
All the things. We've got Disney Plus now.
Yes, everything, all the things.
Let's do the skincare trends and then we'll end on building a skincare routine.
Okay.
So we're going to play a game. P.S. You're my first guest. I don't know if I told you that.
Bio. Amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Like the minute I knew I wanted to do this and was going to like actually start pursuing it, you were like the first person. I was like,
That's so funny. I like totally do not have a social presence at all. And everyone always asks me to podcast and I'm like, but you were like the right fit because I love you dearly.
You're so knowledgeable though, even though you're not as active. Your account is active. You post stuff. But you have so much knowledge that I feel like the world needs to know. And the world needs to know that there are more, I would say, like holistic practicing estheticians and people that kind of take your face and they're not just like, let me focus here. It's like, okay, no, what are your emotions doing? You're stressed. I can see it.
Right.
My pizza last night. I can tell.
Yeah.
You call people out, I'm sure.
People, it's funny with skin because it's like, people will call themselves out. I call it like verbal diarrhea. I literally like touch someone's skin. They're like, oh my gosh, I drank so much last weekend. I'm like, all right. Thanks for letting me know. I can see that too. But they end up usually just telling me.
Yeah. Like the skincare priest.
They think that you can see like their entire soul. So they like tell you things you don't even need to really know. Like I have clients book with me and then they're like, I don't even need an appointment. I just need someone to talk to, So it's like.
So you are the skincare priest. That's what
I do.
They're going to lay down, confess. Okay. So now we're going to play my game. It's called Do It or Screw It, where I'm going to go through skincare trends. And I want you to tell us whether we should do it or say screw it and leave it alone. Okay. So the first skincare trend, the derma roller. What are your thoughts?
Horrible idea. I always like try to see a positive in everything, right? That's just the person I am. It's really annoying, honestly. But don't derma roll. And here is why. There's no way for you to clean this at home. You do not have a UV sterilizer. Normal people just don't. I don't have one in my house and I'm a clean freak. So normal people just don't have those. And also you're going in at an angle. You're actually creating more of a scar when you're rolling into the skin. The other thing is the depths, you're only supposed to hit 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. And some of these are 2 millimeters and that's pretty heavy and you're going to damage your blood vessels. You're going to get a lot of like broken telangiectasias, things like that. The one positive I will say is if you can find one that is very, maybe a 0.25, if you have beard like patches in men, like them to stimulate it a little bit. Or if there's like a spot that's balding, and what you would do is you just have to replace it every few weeks. You dip it in alcohol or herbicide or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did it on myself in the back of my head, castor oil and vitamin E, and my hair is all grown back.
I now do hair restoration because I already do the microneedling with PRP. And
That's
so I've been doing the hair restoration, and I have a client who's doing it right now, and he's getting amazing.
The best. Okay. Then I'm just going to like send them to you instead of telling them to get a dermal roller and do these things at home.
The beard, that's a great tip. I didn't know that about the beard.
I didn't. Yeah. With the beard, the men get all insecure about their little patchy.
Yes.
So.
Okay. So the derma roller overall is a screw it.
No, you screw it.
What about the LED light mask and the LED pens?
Okay. So I get this question a lot. These products that you can buy on Amazon, they're not the right nanometer wavelength to hit the actual skin zone it needs to hit, because that would be like a classified, 3 laser. For pigmentation, if you're using this thing twice a day for 20 minutes, you might see, and it's a red light, you might see a difference, but I highly doubt it, because you have to hit in the stratum germinativum, I think it is. And that's where your melasma is built. So
for acne, what about that?
The acne ones, I kind of like them, but again, you want to check with like your esthetician or like with you or someone who understands the nanometer wavelength.
Yeah.
Bacteria is more superficial, so you can definitely tap into those without being a classified 3 laser. So I would say, yeah.
Okay. And also for anyone who hasn't gone down to read Kimber's bio, underneath the show note or in the show notes, you are a certified laser technician, correct?
I am, yes.
So you know what you're talking about when you're talking about laser depth and LED light depth and the skin.
A lot of these like ones on Amazon crack me up. It's like the neck and like the face. Don't waste your money. Screw that. But if you have like a light slim or something that's a little more higher priced.
Yeah.
They have one for cold sores too. I don't know if you've seen that. So I think it's the more superficial stuff you have, it's not going to help with cystic acne, because again, it's not going to hit below the tissue. If it's superficial, then
like a little mask me, it might be helpful.
Yep.
Okay. So this sounds like vitamin C, you get what you pay for.
Yes.
If it's $10 on Amazon, don't do it. If it's because I know like at Nordstrom, they sell, I want to say it's Dr. Gross.
Okay.
Yep. That's like in the couple hundred range, like two to 5, somewhere within there. That I'm assuming would be more of that like price sweet spot where you might be getting a little bit more.
You might. But it might be just marketing in high-end stores.
Do you have anything in office that you would recommend as an alternative? Like, so if someone's like, oh, I have melasma and I want to do the LED mask, or, oh, I have acne, other than all the diet and lifestyle and hormone stuff, do you have a treatment in office that you like for that?
Melasma can be tricky. It depends. Like for me, I had melasma, but after I did an egg retrieval when I was 30, and I knew mine wasn't going to be permanent. So I did an IPL, sloughed off. I do one every year, and I use a kojic acid.
Okay.
Lightens and brightens. Licorice is good. Turmeric is good. Those all brighten the skin. Treatment wise, I love microneedling as long as they're on one of those skin lighteners too.
Okay.
I'm anti-hydroquinone. I don't know if you are too, but
yes.
Yeah, it's a big endocrine disruptor.
There's too many things that work pretty good, right? A lot of it does depend on, have you fixed the hormonal imbalance? If it's, because oftentimes it is linked to hormones, which is why women get it when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
So you do have to treat the root cause, but there's so many other tools in the toolbox that you can use that are effective, that why go to something that kind of toxic?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. What about microbiome friendly skincare, which I feel like hit the market in the last few years, but is now like very
huge. I love, okay. So over the counter, we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I love Marie Veronique. She makes like a pre and probiotic toner.
Okay.
It's amazing for people, especially rosacea. A lot of people don't know this, but rosacea is actually like a little skin mite that goes in and it like breaks your DNA. So you get like those broken telangiectasias and redness in the tops of the skin. I like to tell my clients that because I don't want them walking around thinking, it's something else.
Yeah.
I'm very honest with them. So I'm like, you have skin mites on your face. And they're like, wait, what? But I love topical probiotics. I love Tula. Like if somebody's very sensitive and they just need to repair, I love Tula. I think that's another over the counter and that's great for those people.
Okay. So microbiome friendly skincare is a do it. It's a definitely do it.
Definitely do it for certain skin types.
For essential oils.
Ooh, I love this conversation. Essential oils, love.
Okay.
We love certain essential oils. What we do not love is some of these essential oils are very toxic. I'll make it short because I know your computer.
we're good right now. We're good. And I'll offload some more things if we have to.
There's 1,800 listed ingredients that our FDA allows here, that Europe and Switzerland is like my favorite example because they're so clean.
Yep.
That they don't allow in their products there. Even these toxic ingredients are not overlooked by the FDA when it's under fragrance.
Yes.
Anything you can look at, if you look at the back labeling and it says fragrance, that can literally mean anything.
Yep.
Anything, because there's no way to regulate it. So that's where you have to look into the company that you're buying the essential oils with. And then you would never, ever, ever put essential oils directly on the skin. You would mix it with like a mineral water, or like tea tree is very great for acne. But I would never suggest to use full essential oil on a pimple.
Yeah.
Burn through that acid mantle way too much.
So I love that you talked about diluting it or like mixing it, right? So you can make it more effective, because I feel like a lot of times if you are someone who promotes essential oils or sells it, they always tell you to dilute it in fractionated coconut oil.
Okay.
Is that something you would obviously say no against because it's comedogenic?
I mean, is this going on your legs?
No, but that's a good point. And I feel like a lot of times, again, we think natural, not harmful. Yep. And I remember being in naturopathic school and using coconut oil to take off my makeup.
Yep.
And then I went and got a facial and they're like, you have a bunch of milia. Like you have a bunch of clogged pores. And they're like, what are you using on your face? And I told them, and she was like, stop that.
Yeah. The micellar water is dying down, that trend, but I never was a fan. Coconut in general is just.
So if they're going
to like an antimicrobial, right?
It is. But if it clogs your pores, it basically, it's a moot point at that bridge. Okay. So if they're going to use it on their face, mineral water.
I like mineral water, like a reverse osmosis. Distilled is great too.
Okay.
And then just like a couple drops. You don't want to put anything crazy. What's my favorite that I put in distilled water is a colloidal silver. And I put like 2 little droppers full in a bottle. It's the best toner if you're having like growth on the face. I love it.
Okay. So essential oils, do it the right way. I feel like it's the last
do it the right way.
Collagen supplements is what I'm talking about specifically.
Okay. So depends on the client. It depends on the skin. If we're breaking out we don't want to do like a collagen vegetarian supplement. There's a lot of back and forth, but my personal belief is that algae is very bad for acne. So I would say screw it if you have acne. And that's even like the bone powders and things like that. I see a lot of keratin polaris.
Mhm.
And I see a lot of growths on people. And I feel like they're overdoing the collagen matchas and the protein collagen
Yeah.
powders in their shakes and stuff. So I think if anything, just try to induce collagen in your normal everyday diet and make sure, you're breaking down those enzymes via food versus like a supplement.
Yeah. So even with supplements, two things, because I have people ask about collagen all the time. Your body doesn't know like, oh, she really wants glowing skin. I'm just going to take this collagen and get rid of her wrinkles or give her a glow. Like it will put it where it finds necessary, which might be your joints. It might not have anything to do with your face. So I definitely agree that you have to be really wise, because I find that patients will just have like buckets and buckets of supplements that it's like, oh, I take this for this one thing. I'm like, well, have you noticed a difference?
Oh my gosh, there's a term for it.
I haven't. And I'm like, okay, well, we've always called it green allopathy.
Okay.
From like a naturopathic perspective, I don't like prescribing. A lot of the prescribing I do is it's like necessary, right? It's the most bang for your buck, but also the most bang for your health. And I'm not going to prescribe you the kitchen sink, because why? If I can do what you can do in 10 supplements and 2 supplements, I'd rather do it in 2, and then give you timelines. So like we're working on healing the gut. This is going to take about this amount of time. Once we're done, you can stop these unless you notice the same symptoms, versus like you're on all these forever.
What supplements? I like want to ask you a little question. Supplements do you think that everyone should be on?
Oh, that's a good one. So a lot of it does depend on diet. So if we're going like the standard American, could benefit from a multivitamin, multimineral. If you're not eating, I prefer that you get it from food. So like if you're not having a ton of vegetables, like if you can go a whole week and you've eaten 3 vegetables, then you should probably be some form of multivitamin. So a probiotic, unless you have SIBO. So a lot of this is like, it's like,
you know what? I have a lot of clients with SIBO. This is like a new thing.
Yes. The amount of
50 years ago.
No. So you have to ask the question why. But even now to 15 years ago, if you look at things that we've done to our environment, our health, our products have gotten worse. But SIBO usually causes gas, bloating. It can be diarrhea. It could be constipation. It will get worse with probiotics. So kombucha, kimchi, or if you're taking a supplement. Outside of that, everyone should be taking a probiotic or eating probiotic rich foods. Again, I feel like it's always go back to the diet if you can.
Yeah, like kimchi and back to the collagen. It's like the bone broth, versus like.
Yeah, because then you're getting it and your body knows what to do with food. It doesn't always know what to do with the supplement.
Right. And I cannot stress to you more. There's certain supplements where I'm like, I would love for them to take like a turmeric, because a lot of inflammation. I can tell by like the shoulders being up here, their face is very red and inflamed, their gut is like bloated. And I think turmeric in general and saffron are just, all Indian food is like amazing, so healing to me. So those like, I love like a good turmeric.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know, like, and I don't know if you believe in this, but when you take a pill, cellulose takes 20 minutes or so, depending on the acid in your stomach, to even break down. So you're not even taking in half of that supplement.
So this also goes back to the conversation of giving someone a grocery basket full of supplements.
Yeah.
You actually have to break those down.
Yep.
If you're on things like a PPI or proton pump inhibitor for things like reflux, which is treatable with diet.
Yes.
You decrease stomach acid. So you're not going to be able to break down things as well, because you've taken the main substance that's meant to break them down and you've weakened it by being on Tums or a proton pump inhibitor, when really you can make diet and lifestyle changes. So if I have someone whose digestion is poor, I tend to do more liquids and powders if possible.
Yep.
Um,
Love powder.
yeah, they're just so easy, so convenient. They don't always taste the best, especially like my gut healing one. I have a patient who's like, I cannot. And so we go with capsules, but
only imagine.
digestive enzymes will help with that. But I don't use PPI, like proton pump inhibitors for that, or all of your like over the counter Nexium is one of them.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, but Tums, same conversation, is that you are decreasing the stomach acid, therefore decreasing the possibility that you're going to break down that food and the 10 supplements that you're on.
Yeah.
Appropriately. So it's
prebiotics.
I like prebiotics because you need to feed the bacteria.
What's a good like food source of prebiotic? Kimchi's like a probiotic, right? Or could it
Kimchi's a probiotic. There's some, I want to say it's the pectins. I'll put some in the show notes.
Okay. Like soy pectin or
I don't even quote prices. This is going to sound like a random comment because my memory is in like 1,000 different places. And if I tell you something, then people are like, well, you said, and I'm like, you're right. Yeah. I did. So I always honor it. And I always own up like, yeah, you're right. I said the wrong thing. Like, here's the right thing. And thank you.
Well, you're like managing so much all at once. You're like a podcast, you have a job, you're teaching.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You're doing skin, you're a mom, it's like
so much stuff. So the last, we have 2 more.
Okay.
Do it or screw it. So spirulina.
That goes like hand in hand with what I said earlier. Okay. I feel like if you have acne, like no, but I love, it's great. You know, I think you're getting a little bit of iodine in there with the spirulina.
Okay. So for overall health, you like it as a supplement.
Yes.
But not necessarily with all skin concerns.
Not with all skin concerns.
Okay. And I agree with that. I don't think there's a one size fits all for anything. And I'll say if you start spirulina, start at a lower dose because it can cause headaches. If you take too much of it, you will get headaches. And oftentimes you're not going to think it's the super healthy supplement. You're going to think it's like, I didn't drink enough water. Or it's the sinus or allergies, right? But it's really,
right. Yeah. I didn't know that. I never get headaches.
Yeah. Well, then if you were to try spirulina and you got one, you would know why.
I think, is it chlorella? Is that like a type of spirulina?
It is a type of I want to say they get it. I don't know if it's that. I take chlorella. But it's the same family.
Okay. Yeah. I take chlorella, but I don't do spirulina unless I'm having like a spirulina juice from Kaleidoscope.
I did spirulina for a while and then got headaches and then was like, oh, that's what they were talking. There's a lot of things I've learned that way where it's like, you know, in naturopathic school, we talk about something and then I'll do it. Vitamin C is one of those. Vitamin C is great. It is a laxative if you take too much. If you're not sick, if you're sick, you can take really high doses. If you're not sick, it'll just give you diarrhea. And fun and surprising. I was making a smoothie when I was in school and I just like, the scooper just seems so small, you know? I was like, there's no way. So I put in like 2 or 3. I put in 2 or 3 scoops of the smoothie and I got to class and I'm drinking it on the way to class. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh, that's why they say that. And
oh my gosh, I never would think that. Now I'm going to pay attention because I do try to do an emergency. Like I do it Wednesdays. I like to do Wednesday emergency raspberry packet. And here's why. I feel like Monday, Tuesday, I'm great. I'm like rested, hopefully from the weekend.
Yeah.
And the rest of the week, I just want my immunity to be peaking back up.
So you would have to, when you are sick, and no one at me, if you try this and you get diarrhea, I'm warning you, consult with your physician. I am a physician. I am not yours. So when you are just taking it for like overall health, usually 2,000 milligrams, maybe 2,500 is as high as those packets go. When you are sick, you can take up to 8 grams.
Wow.
So you're going from like 1 to 2 grams maybe 2.5, all the way up to 8. And then as you start to get better, so naturopathically, I always dose it to bowel tolerance, which basically means once you get diarrhea, back down the dosing.
Yeah.
But I've taken that much when I'm sick. I've had patients take that much when they're sick. And then basically the minute you get diarrhea, you know, you don't need it as much. So you back down the dosing and you'll go to say 7, 6, 5, 4 until you don't need it anymore.
It's so funny. I don't know if like I just have a gut of steel, but I never.
Well, you might not have taken that much.
Too much. When I had COVID, I was taking double the recommended dose.
So if a recommended dose is 2 grams, I'm saying 4 times the recommended dose. You probably just haven't taken that much.
No.
If you do though, tell me that when you're sick, you can really pack in the vitamin C.
Okay.
Okay. Last, do it or screw it. Lymphatic drainage for the skin, for the face. So we're going to lump together cupping, jade rolling, and gua sha in the same trend.
You want to make sure first that your stones are not, is it like phosphorus? Like it's not porous, so it can't pick up bacteria.
Okay.
A lot of, oh my gosh, my cat's like tail's waving. So you want to make sure that it's not porous, like it's not picking up bacteria. You want to make sure like you're cleaning them very well. A lot of the gua shas you can buy on Amazon, they're porous, so they're going to hold on to bacteria, and then you could potentially be wiping bacteria around your skin. I do love gua sha if you're going to lymphatically drain. I feel like it's very important to get like the blood circulation flowing. That's where you get like that really good radiance. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, you know, I wish I could sleep like a bat upside down because gravity's doing this all day long.
Yeah.
Just sleep like a bat and reverse all of this, but we can't. So I love gua sha for like an everyday pool. If you don't have tools, that's okay too. You can just do it with your hands.
Okay.
You don't need anything to do that, but it is kind of like a self ritual, feel good, gets your endorphins going.
Yeah.
And all that helps, you know, mentally and skin wise too. Is taking the time to massage and
also when you take that either rose quartz or like jade roller or the gua sha out, it's ice cold.
I love
it. It feels so good on the skin when it's like really cold.
Yeah. I used to use like ice globes in my spa practice, but like throwing them somehow and like breaking them, and they're like $70 for a set of 2.
Oh wow.
What I use now is they're like little Scotch whiskey, and it's actually better because they're antimicrobial stainless steel, so nothing gets in them. And I put those in the freezer for my clients, and we'll lymphatically like drain them and lift and carve and do all the fun things. But if you're worried about bacteria, that is another way you could be gouacheing, is with those stainless steel stones. Okay.
So it sounds like it's a do it.
It's a do it.
Okay.
Move stuff around. This doesn't want to stay stagnant.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. It's not meant to stay stagnant. Our lives are very stagnant these days.
Yeah. The Kardashians would say otherwise, but they're like, no movement, no talking, no.
I mean, we could. We got to also say they don't have any work done, and that it's all natural. Yeah, now I will say their plastic surgeon is mint, because the changes are just so gradual that unless you look at like Kim when she was dating, oh my gosh, who was she dating? This was before Ray J. This is like when she first came on the scene. I think I saw Nick Lachey or something.
When she was like Paris Hilton's closet organizer, like back when she looked like Jafar from Aladdin.
If you look at that versus now, but like the changes were so subtle that you don't really notice, like, oh, she got a nose job.
Yeah.
Oh, like she did this. She, I remember on Keeping Up with the Kardashians a while ago, she was like, my butt's real. And she did an x-ray.
Yeah.
But she does fat transfers. So that doesn't show up on an x-ray.
She does fat transfers, and she does, she did a lot of Sculptra. And the reason that I could tell is because when you go too many vials of Sculptra coagulates and builds over time.
Yes.
It's gonna like plump and stimulate that tissue. And sometimes when you put too much in, it gets out of control.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait for it to cycle through for it to go back down. So I feel like she definitely overdid the Sculptra.
I mean, it's an interesting thing. I almost feel like it would be better. Like you look at Kylie when she got her lips done, her being like, oh no, I just overlined them. People stopped talking about it when she was like, oh yeah, I got them done. And because then it's like, okay, we were just curious.
I know. It's like those weird moments when you're in middle school or something where you like shave half of your eyebrow off and you're like, oh yeah, I was in a fight last week. See the other person, you know what I mean? So it's really like, just say the truth. I'm like happy to tell everyone everything I do.
It just makes it so much easier. Okay. So
are you doing fillers and stuff at your practice, or you're just like PRP, all holistic?
Yeah. PRP. I've been trained in it. I've done it. I would say that it's just not my favorite thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
at
like,
least you know that.
Yes. And it took a minute. Like I would be down, like lasers I like in the right hands.
Mm-hmm.
Microneedling, obviously I like. PRP, I obviously like. I just feel like sometimes it can be with facial stuff. It's such a tweak. Like once you realize you could fix it, now you're like fixating on it, right? It's like why Michael Jackson had however many nose jobs he had and his nose wound up falling apart in the end, because it's like, so oftentimes if you're like, oh, I want my lips to look like this, well, they're going to look like the best version of your lips. They're not going to look like Kylie's lips. And that's going to take a lot of treatments to get you to Kylie size at where you're at when you don't really have an upper or a bottom lip.
And then they're still not going to look like hers because she has her own anatomy. And that's like the biggest thing I try to tell my clients.
Yeah.
The biggest thing right now is like, you know, we live in an era where it's like instantaneous. Everybody wants results right away.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like Botox and things like that, people are jumping in at a very young age. I'm talking like 19, 20, and they don't even need it. And so I feel like it's our job to bring up things like microneedling that's going to like prolong that.
Yes. I feel like a lot of people are doing something at such a young age, but they're being told it's preventative and their favorite influencers or celebrities are getting it done when they don't necessarily need to. And it's expensive, like for a 19-year-old to pay for Botox every, couple of 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. I get half off from my person and it's
still pricey.
Hundreds of dollars. And I don't even get that much.
Yeah.
And I would say to like anyone who's listening, if you're thinking of getting Botox, definitely go see Brandi, come see me, whatever. Talk about microneedling, because the thing is this, you're going to start here with Botox. And then we are so trained to move this part of our head. What happens is you start squinching from here, and then you start doing weird movements.
Funny lines.
Side, and then you start to get wrinkles here that you can't necessarily treat with Botox here. And that's going to be fillers and lots of other things and surgeries. So that's wait as long as you can. I didn't start till 6 years ago.
Yeah. It's definitely consult with someone that you trust. Because obviously at the end of the day, people are selling treatments, right? People have to make a living. So regardless if you have a wrinkle or not. Also, did you follow that girl on Instagram? I know I just stopped in the middle of this.
No, you're fine.
I'm going to figure out her name. She got too much Botox.
Oh no.
And basically what happened is she got lid ptosis, but it was really bad. So this eyebrow went up. This one went down.
Oh, no.
This lid was like this. So this eye was like this.
Oh,
I am going to screenshot a picture of it for you, because she's been now trying to reverse the effects. Because what happened was she had an injector, which always research your injectors. She had an injector that wasn't super practiced, or maybe was, right? And just thought she was injecting in one place, injected in another. So she dropped her lid. So then she was like, oh, well, I'll give you a little bit more to reverse it. And it made it worse. So then this eyebrow, it was a mess. She's been doing like vibration and eye drops and everything to reverse it, but it's been like 6 weeks, and no one can really give you how long it's going to take for your body to process it out.
You know what I would say to someone that would happen to is, one, you should definitely go see my girl first and foremost, because she won't oversell you. Like we just talked about the neck. People are
Yeah.
doing the neck now, or
Yep.
they're doing the aqua gold stamps with Botox. Your skin doesn't need that. It goes in the muscle.
Yep.
The person that I go to, I don't know, you're not doing Botox, you're just
No,
PRP.
no, please. Yeah. Tell us who you like.
So I love her name's Cece. She works at Rejuvenation. Oh my gosh, Rejuvenation Center, something Elite Med Spa. There we go. Cece at Elite Med Spa. She does all my work. I've been seeing her for 3 years. She's a neurology nurse. So she knows more about the muscles and the
Yeah.
and everything in the face, and she's never going to oversell you. Like I have to straight up tell her, like, no, we're doing 2 syringes of filler. And she's like, you don't need it. I'm like, yes, put
Yes.
it. I'm like, okay, she was right. But
Yeah.
she was right. And then she's actually the one who told me, if you're doing Botox, and this is like the shitty thing is there's so many people that go to nursing school, they don't know what they're doing, and they start out and they just like want to be in this industry so bad. They don't shadow people for long enough, and then they just think they know what they're doing. So if you ever get an injector that's putting too low to the brow, guess what? You're dropping that muscle, so it's going to go down. So when Cecilia works with me, she always has me move around to see where my actual muscle is.
Yeah.
And you actually want to pop it right under the eyebrow here if you're looking for a lift. Just having that kind of knowledge. So if you are someone out there and you're going to someone for the first time and you tell them you want your eyes to raise, be mindful of how low they're going.
Well, also, they should be feeling your muscles. So
Yep.
when I've got trained and when I have done it, it should be like, okay, you want your 11s gone. I need you to like make the face, see
Yep.
how strong that muscle is.
Yep.
And then say, okay, well, this muscle's not very strong or it's not very big, because even these corrugators can be really short. So if, on a person where they're really short and they're making this face, you can even see, oh, wow, you can see all of the muscles. Like they all just popped out. You would want to inject right there. If someone went even too lateral, they say no more lateral than the pupil. You will drop.
I get a lot of nurses that want to do, sorry, I'm like green juice in over here. I get a lot of people that offer me free work, and sometimes I'm like, hey, this person kind of knows like what they're doing. Like, should I want my clientele, right? And so I go to them and I could just tell like they're so bad at their job, because Cece will like hold the muscle and like really feel, like you're saying.
Yep.
And there's too many people out there that are willing to make an extra dollar to screw up your face.
There were not so many, but I always take a cautious approach to treatment. And I had classmates who were like, I can do it they've just learned the technique. And they're like, I'm in, I could do it. I could charge for it tomorrow. And I'm just like, I would not. I want to like get practiced, feel a few faces.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always use your best friends and your family members for your test dummies first.
But let them know that they're testing.
For sure. Yeah. I love like playing with my knees.
Yeah.
Like upper, if it's like a mesotherapy or like a PMU, anything I love, like, or like the fibroblasting, I'll always like test it on myself and then family members and then some friends. And then I'll work on a client. I'm not like, hey, I just like learned how to do this. Let me get in there. And
yep. So if people are in Scottsdale, they should absolutely go see you because you're amazing. But if they're not and they're looking for an esthetician, what are some things that they should look for, questions they should ask, things like that?
Okay. This is my favorite question the entire time, because this is venting hour with Kimberly Fox. It's really important that you are actually seeing befores and afters. I think a lot of people are very cute online. Like they have a very like good social presence or working on models that look really pretty. These are not reasons why you normally would want to go to an esthetician. You want to see someone who actually like has fixed and healed someone, unless you're looking for like a foo-foo, whatever, go to like, I don't know, Scottsdale, whatever. Look for the results. If the results are there, the education is there, that is a good esthetician. Like the songs and dancing and all that stuff, like it's fun, but you want to make sure that they're dropping some real knowledge. Like I see things on people's pages that don't even make sense. I'm like, this has nothing to do with skin, but they're cute, they're young, people want to be like them, so they go to them. Don't do that.
So
Go
it's,
to the person that has the results.
it sounds like, yes, looking at their before and afters, their results, even their personal results versus like, oh, she's pretty, because you never know also what work she's had done.
Yeah.
Or it could just be natural. Like you said, there's some people who can eat McDonald's every day with clear, perfect skin and they don't have to do everything. And there are people who need education and treatment and someone who knows what they're doing.
Right. And we hate those people that eat McDonald's and put baby crap on their face and they're perfect. It's like, wow, this is so unfair.
It's true.
Yeah. Make sure the education's there. I feel like you're really knowledgeable and you're fun. So it's like, you're great. Like I would look for someone like that because you have much to say. But some of these people is just like,
I feel like I also want to add, listen to your gut. Like I know I've been in a stylist chair, a hairstylist, but anyone that is going to be working on you, doctor, hairstylist, esthetician, nutritionist, anyone. Number one, if you smell BS, question it. It might just be your intuition. There have been times where I'm sitting in that stylist chair and like, yes, I'm nervous about the cut, but it's something deeper. I'm like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. Like I had a cut recently and I literally, she like made a comment, we were doing a curly cut and she was like, oh, your hair's way shorter in the back than it is in the front. And I'm like, well, my curls are tighter in the back than the front. And she's like, no, it's shorter. And I pull up a picture from Christmas where my hair was straight. And I was like, it's not actually shorter. It's the same. Like, here's a picture of it straight. It's the same length. And she was like, oh.
And you knew in that moment you wanted to walk away, but you didn't.
But I didn't because I felt guilty, like I was going to hurt her feelings. I don't know what I felt, but I want to say for people to trust that intuition. If you go to see a professional and things just aren't adding up, whether that be the space or the things that they have to say or the things that they're saying that you need and you're feeling like you're being sold.
Yeah.
Speak up and stand up for yourself and say, you know, I'm good. Yeah. Not today. I'll
run for the hills, you know, and if you ever feel bad, just be honest with them or give them $50 and just say, you know what, I actually really don't feel comfortable or like whatever. I mean, I wouldn't lie because I just am not a liar. So I would give them $50 and say, you know what, I just don't feel comfortable. Like I need to leave right now.
Yeah.
Here's like money to at least get you through the time that I would have no-showed you, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point of still like, hey, I'm paying you for your time, but I just don't want the service that you're offering. But too many times you have people where it's like, I knew something was up. I.e. when I got my haircut, but I just didn't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
So I sat there and like anxiously knew, I was like, you don't do Afro hair. I should have known.
Yeah. I mean, I've had clients that have called me from San Francisco and they're like, hey, about this, you know, what's it? Groupon. I bought a Groupon. I went into a nail salon to get a microneedle and they put rubbing alcohol after they just wiped my face off after numbing it. They didn't like cleanse them. They didn't put alcohol on it.
Yeah.
And, like toned them with like a CVS, like witch hazel toner, which in turn like gave them a chemical burn. So I sent this girl a free package. I gave her advice. We like did online like facial recoveries.
Yeah.
It's good now, but it's just like those moments where you know to walk away, just listen to yourself, pay for the time, because it is like messed up to block somebody's time and then like no show. I'm sure you had that happen to you. We've all had that happen. And this is like how we pay our bills. So you never want to take away someone's ability to pay their bills.
And you did, like you said, you used their time. You just then made a decision. So you do online consulting.
I do. It was like more so during COVID. I try to get my staff to take over, but I have a lot of people request specifically for me.
Okay.
A lot of fly-ins, like I have people from Texas, Chicago. I have a lot of people that drive from Mexico. They think Scottsdale is like the Hollywood of skincare, and they somehow, some way find me. And they're like, she's the best at microneedling. Like, look at all her results or whatever. So I'm kind of becoming known from Mexico, which is
nice. You're
and it's all
international.
microneedle clients. So I guess I'm like the Beverly Hills of Mexico spa to come to, which is kind of funny because I'm not like super fancy or anything.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so if people want to work with you, they want to book with you, or they want to find you, where do they do that?
Leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I see too many people. No, you can honestly just call and leave a voicemail on our work number, which is 228312366. That's the easiest way because then we could text. There's also my skin consultation you can fill out online. And I usually try to look over those on my lunch break or after work, but I will get back to every single person and asks you like a series of questions. And that's at scottsdaleskinbar.com. We have the Evolve Skin Bar page, which my office manager works. And then there's the Scottsdale Esthetician page, which is me. Don't personal DM me because it gets so lost. And then I'm glad they now have that like unread feature.
Yeah.
A lot of the times I would just go to open my phone and then it's like shows I read something and I never did.
Yeah. So don't DM. Best way is either the website
or call.
Or calling. Okay. Awesome. And then follow at Evolve Skin Bar and at Scottsdale Esthetician on Instagram.
Yeah. Those are
well, it's been so great talking with you today.
Yeah, you too. Your skin looks great. You look glowy. I can't believe you're 2 times a mom now, right?
Yeah. Yep. My son was born February of last year in like almost the start of COVID, right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
you know what? That's kind of nice though, because then you really got those months to like nurture and be there.
I did. It was very nice bonding, especially with going from 1 little to 2. So I have right now 2 under 3. And so it was nice to have that. At the same time, he got very used to me being there. So it was a little harder to detach when I started working again. But it's been really good and exciting. So, okay. Everyone, please go follow Kimber on social, reach out if you want. And I'll put all the details down in the show notes, your website, bio, things like that, so people can find you easily. And yeah, thank you so
much for having me. I always love talking to you. Like, I feel like we could have just had this conversation without
recording it.
Yeah.
So true. All right, guys. So I will see you next week on the Pretty Healthy Podcast.